What's up, Metal Summoners? What is up? It is halfway through the week. This is where your weekend begins as far as we are concerned. As always, welcome back to your Island of Misfit Toys with myself and with Angel Alamo. We are going to be holding it down. As always, we can always expect Bobby and Steve to pop in whenever they see fit if necessary, but we have got this and we are super duper stoked to talk about what we all have coming up in a month or so. It's going to be great. We were there the last time the event happened, and we will be there again if you've been following all the announcements that they have been posting on all of their various socials. But we are being joined by RocknPod organizer Chris Czynszak and Let It Rip with Ron podcaster Ron Jones. Gentlemen, how are you this evening?
I'm doing fantastic. Ask Chris.
I'm good. I'm happy to be with you guys tonight. How's it going?
Absolutely. We're doing good, man. We're doing good. Thank you so much for taking some time out to hang with us. Angel, how are you doing this evening?
I'm awesome.
Awesome, man. Right on. So before we get into all the up and coming stuff involving RocknPod, which will definitely dominate us because we got a lot to talk about, what I wanted to actually talk about was kind of a cool little topic that's come up in music in the last week based off a picture that was posted, because I posted it on the Metal Summit Facebook page, and it actually started getting a lot of attention and a lot of love, just mostly with people's various opinions, all very professional opinions, people giving their own 2 cents on it. Some people feel this way, some people feel that way. But in the most recent days, Motley Crue has recently posted their first official videos with John 5. And I found it kind of interesting, and I'm totally down for it. But I was like, it's still a very unique look. So I was like, you know what? It's been a minute since we've kicked off the episode actually talking about a topic in music. So I thought this could be a really fun one to do it on and get everybody's various opinions. So Chris, Ron, I'll kick it right down to you guys. Officially, we all knew it was going to be a thing, but now the pictures are out there. John 5 in Motley Crue replacing Mick Mars. What are your guys' thoughts?
Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I noticed that they got another vertically challenged guitar player, so he's about as short as Mick Mars was. But I don't know, man. I don't know that I can call this Motley Crue without Mick Mars. But then again, I didn't plan on going to see them live anymore anyway after about 10 years ago. So my opinion doesn't matter. There's still plenty of people that are thirsty to see them live. So good for them for going out and making the money, because there's still a demand for it. But no, I mean, they looked okay. I thought that Tommy Lee looked like the snooty maitre d' in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I thought that was kind of funny looking.
What a great analogy. Damn, man.
Yeah. But no, I don't know. They're in good hands with John 5. The guy's an incredible player. He can play that stuff in his sleep, so that'll be fine. The thing that cracked me up was, I was like, look at Vince. Vince looks amazing, and I'm like, nah, there's a lot of filtering going on in this thing.
There's
and
got to be
they put a very
photo
big
shopping
jacket on him. But yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, Ron, what are your thoughts, man?
Well, mine are a little bit different than Chris's. I actually bought a ticket today. I'm flying to New York to see Motley Crue on August 5th, hanging out with the Rochester Rock Brigade, who I know is tuned in right now. Love you guys. My opinion on it is, I got a little bit of a history with Motley Crue. John 5, I've seen him in concert solo, I don't know how many times. And honestly, I love it. I think the personality fits. The only thing that I thought was kind of weird was, as intricate as a guitar player as John 5 is, it's got to be really weird for him to all of a sudden tone it down and play 3-chord Motley Crue songs. But sure. I'm looking forward to it. They say there's going to be production this time, and I'm seeing him in an arena instead of the stadium, which I love arena shows. So we'll see. But I got to be honest with you, I love it. Are we getting a new lead singer from Motley Crue? Does anybody know? Or that was a joke. I'm going to hell for that.
Yeah, no. Scott Stapp's got it out for you now.
I know it. No, seriously, I'm glad for the guys, and I'm really thrilled for John 5, and I'm totally looking forward to it. I mean, I really want to see this. I think it'll be really good, and I think he will do honor to Mick Mars. That's what I think.
Yeah, because one of the comments that I noticed that I commented back and forth with the fan about, because I was like, no, totally, we're going to discuss it on the show this week, is because he's like, can you really call it Motley Crue without Mick Mars? I'm like, no, honestly, man, that's a very fair question. But the thing is, it was called Motley Crue without Vince, and it was also called Motley Crue without Tommy Lee.
Exactly.
So I can't say that we can't call it Motley Crue without Mick, where no matter what, we've always had 3 out of 4 original members, no matter what. There's never yet been a time where half or more of the band has been missing.
Exactly.
So,
and I agree 100% with that, because Motley Crue, when you think about it, I mean, look at Kiss. They got 2 original members. If you look at a lot of the bands that are performing right now, I mean, if we want to really get nasty about it, talk about Foreigner, who has no original members except one that shows up every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, we got Autograph, who's been very kind of airing their dirty laundry a little bit right now. With
Ugly
members,
situation.
so.
Yeah, that one's. I think you guys probably are too. I'm friends with Regina, and that whole Autograph situation is, for lack of a better word, disgusting to me. I think that it's all gone the wrong direction, and I hate that. I really do. But how do you call a band when they don't have an original member in there? It's a tribute band. I saw a corner here in Chattanooga, and the one member that was in there, he wasn't there. And I remember walking out Memorial Auditorium and telling a lot of people, wow, that's really cool. I just saw one of the coolest tribute bands ever.
No, I definitely get you on that. Before we get too deep into that, because there's definitely a lot of directions we can go, because I have a place that I want to go with the whole tribute acts. I do want to kick it up to Angel while we were still on the topic of Motley Crue. And Angel, what do you think about the whole situation with Motley Crue and John 5?
I'm going to sound like Jack Nicholson and playing the president in that Alien movie. You got 3 out of 4 original members, and that ain't bad.
Right on.
That's good.
No, man, I definitely get you on that. I mean, for me, if I'm able to see them, I'm also, I mean, and I'm sure I'll see footage and stuff like that. It's also going to be a little interesting because I've seen John 5 a bunch solo. I've seen him with Rob Zombie a bunch. I would have loved to have seen him with Halford when Halford was doing his 2 band, because I just thought that band was amazing. I love that album so much. But if anything, it's actually going to see, John 5. It's going to be interesting seeing John 5 on stage performing a little bit more sleaze rocked out than horror rocked out. And I think that's going to be really, really interesting.
Matt Porter.
I love Matt Porter. Hey, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, there will be people that will check out Motley Crue because John 5's involved. That's true.
And it leads to another question too. And I'm wondering this: as prolific as a songwriter and a player that John 5 is, will that inspire Motley Crue to go back into the studio? Is Mick Mars still enough part of the band? He's doing an album now. I think I saw something yesterday. He's doing an album with a country singer or something like that.
He's also been doing stuff with John Corabi as well.
That would be amazing.
And it's interesting though, man, because like John Corabi had some really interesting words recently. I don't know if you saw them, but like after the whole announcement where John is like, dude, I have yet to hear anything from Mick himself. So John's not particularly stoked on this whole retirement can't tour thing. He doesn't buy it for a second until he hears from Mick.
Do you guys buy it?
I'm not going to name any names, but I know people that are kind of in that orbit, and I've heard the same thing, that it's not as amicable as they led people to believe.
Gotcha.
Kind of like when Peter Criss had to leave Kiss. There was like 3 different stories that came out. There was his,
there's a Motley Crue related thing I want to bring up. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Did you see Billy Joe Armstrong get up with a cover band and do Live Wire recently in a little club?
I heard about it, but I have not seen it. No.
Seriously, when you get done doing the live stream, go watch that video, because I had it sent to me by like 3 people, and I put it off for like 2 days because I'm like, who gives a damn about Billy Joe singing Motley Crue?
Same thing I was thinking.
He fucking kills it. I mean, it sounds amazing. He even hits the high scream and everything. It's awesome.
Well, wasn't there a bunch of rumors that people were trying to start up that Scott Stapp was going to be the lead singer for Motley Crue? And I remember the first time I read that.
We knew that was
no.
I I never bought that shit for a second.
Not
not for me.
That was not happening.
But before we get back on the actual topic of the evening, I want to steer it back a little bit to the tribute band, because we've talked about this on multiple episodes, and it's always just a very, very interesting way to go and a thing to ask about. Because now, even if we take away like literally the sadness and the horrific situation that is Autograph right now, they are now no longer an original band as far as original members go. You also currently have a lot of back and forth amongst various fans when it comes to talking about Quiet Riot. My thing when it comes to Quiet Riot is actually very, very simple, and it's actually kind of interesting because I try to keep people kind of enlightened on it. I love Quiet Riot. I've known Alex Grossi for a very, very long time. I'm a ridiculous typo negative fan. So just the idea of, Frankie's throne being held down by Johnny Kelly, I think is absolutely fantastic. It kind of keeps the New York flavor in there, and all of that. So I'm definitely all about that. Jizzy Pearl still, as much as I love James Durbin, and I really liked the time that Scott was in the band. I wasn't the world's biggest fan of Mark, but I did like Scott when I saw him at M3. Jizzy is still my favorite singer that they've ever had post Kevin.
Yeah,
I just really love his tone for delivering those songs, his professionalism, and his stage presence. But the one thing that's really interesting that I think a lot of people have actually forgotten and maybe didn't even realize is that Quiet Riot hasn't been an original band since Kevin's death, because Frankie was not an original member.
Right.
He's just kind of been the guy that formed that perfect, team with Kevin.
Did the whole band ever get back together after 1986 when they fired Kevin? I don't think that all four of them have ever been together since then. Carlos left the band soon after that, didn't he?
They did put out an album of the original band, or most of it. I don't think Rudy has done a material with them, but they did an album. I believe it was called like Bury the Bone or Back to the Bone or something, that had I believe it had Frankie, Carlos, and Chuck with Kevin. So, and a lot of people forget that like the bass lines for Bang Your Head, as well as like I think 2 other songs of Mental Health, are being played by Chuck. So Chuck is on that album of what we know as the classic lineup of Quiet Riot. And for what it's worth, I don't know if all of you guys have seen it, but a few days ago, I just finally got around to watching the Randy Rhoads documentary.
Oh, man. Isn't that good?
That was good.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
I really got to give it up to that for sure. But the idea of tribute bands is really interesting because you're right, Ron. When it comes to Foreigner, it's the guys and Mick when they can get him in there. And unfortunately now the untimely passing of Randy is really crazy when it comes to the Autograph thing. Whenever Rat can get their shit together, it was still dominantly the actual Rat band, of course, with Carlos filling in for the King. But it's crazy and then of course now we've got Quiet Riot kind of as we know it. But whatever Quiet Riot did, at least it seems that they did it right, because you never heard a peep of any kind of issue when it came to that situation.
I always wondered though, Jay, why Carlos was never brought back into the band. Was it because I watched the what's that movie that Frankie put together? There's No Way Here.
The documentary.
And Carlos was in that all the way through it. If I remember right, I could be wrong, guys. I think that's the movie I watched. And Carlos in there, and he's getting along with people, and he's being great. And I remember thinking, how come he never wound up back in the band? Was it his decision, or did they? I mean, and as far as
Well, I've been in touch with his wife for a long time to get him on this show, so I will definitely get Carlos on this show, and we'll be able to ask him that straight up.
That'd be great.
Maybe because you got to remember, so Alex has been in the band a little bit over 10 years now, or at least, he's been there. So Alex has been there for a while now. Maybe, then Carlos started doing things with Rat. Around that time, they were putting out the Infestation album. Vicky was doing her clothing line thing, the Bang Your Head line and stuff like that. So it's incredibly possible that because maybe he didn't want to be as much of a road dog because Rat hasn't really been a road band for a while.
Right.
Even when it was them with Carlos, it was mostly Steven doing Steven things and then Rat kind of filling in through the middle and stuff like that. Hey, Bobby.
No, I got cocktails.
And so I think it seems more along the lines of like, current tenure. Like, don't get me wrong, I would absolutely not hate to see Carlos back in Quiet Riot with next to Rudy Sarzo. But I mean, for me personally, I'm not willing to sacrifice my buddy over it. That's just me. But that's just me personally. But the crazy thing when it comes to the autograph situation also is very, very strange because I remember interviewing. We actually interviewed Steve on our show in the early days, and one of the questions I remember asking him was when he left Autograph, because when I had interviewed Steve the last time, it was him and Randy at M3, and they had just done like the Autograph coffee and a bunch of that kind of stuff. I remember asking Steve, like, hey man, do you still partake in any of that? He's like, nah, honestly, I was cool. I signed away everything. I want to let the guys do their thing. So that was the only thing that just seemed incredibly strange to me about this kind of mess is I love Regina to death. And she is tortured on a level that I don't want anybody to ever be. You can tell that this is incredibly hard for her.
It is.
And it's so tricky. And I can't go as far as to speak on things that I'm just not a part of. But I almost feel like, and I love Steve. Steve has always treated me like family. But it was a little weird to me to have him suddenly speaking up on when it came to legality things, when it seemed like he had simply signed away rights when it comes to that. Not that his rightful place isn't right in Autograph. It just seemed like they had already handled the legal side of it.
Right.
And if Randy kind of was the dominant thumbprint on Autograph, now I do kind of understand why it became a mishmash. But it's definitely become a weird thing. And I really just hope they get it like settled and stuff like that because, in like the BLE camp, we've got, Jeannie, who's our head of talent relations. She and Regina are like this, man. Like they are really attached at the hip and stuff like that. So I'm sure she knows probably more than all of us do about that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's definitely unfortunate and very unique situation where it's not just two dominant members who are just fighting with each other. This seems to be really, really intertwined and really personal, like kind of a combination of the people who have held it together for so long that not feeling like they should be just dismissed versus the people that built it.
Was Steve the one that wrote that long? Chris, you might have sent it to me. Was Steve the one that wrote that long letter or note explaining everything that was going on that we saw about a month and a half ago?
Oh yeah.
That was heartbreaking. I remember reading that and going, "What the hell is going on here?"
Yeah,
I honestly don't know whose side to take on it because they both sides sound pretty valid. So it's kind of like I'm not in the situation, so it's kind of hard to know really where the truth lies on it. It seems it's just a mess either way. I hope they work it out and get it resolved. It's sad all the way around though.
Absolutely, for sure. And so one more before we kick it into the topic of the evening, because now we've got Bobby. Hey, Bobby, we kicked off the show, buddy, talking about the first official photos that have been released showing John 5 in Motley Crue. What are your thoughts on this situation? Because when we posted that picture, we got a really interesting fan back and forth amongst each other where bands are like, is it Motley Crue? Is it not Motley Crue? And I was like, well, it was Motley without Vince. It was Motley without Tommy. I don't see why it can't be Motley without Mick. But what's your thoughts on the official photos of Motley Crue?
Look, there's a big difference here because it was a mutual agreement, and Mick stepped down on his own. It wasn't like he was asked to leave or anything else. And for them to bring John in, it was that thing that they really had to work that out. And John didn't look. If he didn't feel like it was the rightful place to go into, he wouldn't have done it. Look, when Vince left, it was a pissing contest, with Karabi and that. We all knew when John came in there, it wasn't Motley. John even knew it wasn't Motley Crue. Mick knows he can't do what he can do. I mean, let's be honest. It's a physical disability. He can't play the parts anymore. The great thing is they didn't bring in a schlep guitar player. They brought in a guy, one, who really personifies what Mick is. And if anybody, John 5 is that guy. So that's my feelings on it. I don't think John is going to be anything. He's going to give the greatest nod to Mick Mars than anybody else.
For sure. And one other thing too, because we had talked about this a little bit too. I don't know if you had read it or seen it, but John Karabi has never been short on words or honesty, and he has spoken out on the fact that he is very, suspicious, for lack of a better term, on the whole separation due to the fact that we have yet to hear a peep from Mick. What do you think about that? We talked a little bit on it where we are kind of curious on if it really was amicable.
We all know that band is so more fucking dysfunctional than anything else. And look, we've all been there. We've seen the train wreck at M3. We've seen them. Monsters on the Mountain. We've seen Vince, nosedive off the stage.
Oh, that was brutal.
Yeah, that was bad.
And let's be honest, Vince is Motley Crue's Vinnie Vincent. We all know that. Oh, bad Bobby. Sorry.
Vinnie Vincent, Neil.
Sorry. That was didn't see that one coming. That was good.
But really, if you think about it, everybody there has put their ties in. Nikki loves the band. Tommy can't figure out if he's white or black. It's such a Michael Jackson song, but it's really Nikki's band. And if Nikki feels that John's the right spot, it's all about the payday for this.
Sure.
Let's see what happens. Did they do? Look, I was there last year in Philly and Hershey for the show. It was great. I like Vince when Vince was Vince. Vince knows what he needs to do. Trainer, right. But I'm sorry. And I'm not talking about Megan. No.
He's not all about that bass.
Yeah. No, he's got a lot of bass. He's got too much fucking bass. Is the problem. And the bad thing is, why go out and embarrass yourself? I watched Mick play and I'm going, man, it really, it's painful. He's got a debilitating disease where his bones are fusing up. I don't know who made the comment about bringing it in, but for John to do it, it had to be a lot of nights thinking. Nobody wants to go out there and be a disrespect.
Sure.
It's going to be the last hurrah. So let's see what happens. But I want to give John 5 the credit. He's probably been one of the nicest guys I've ever met too.
Easily.
He's kind of the Gary Hoey of metal.
Yeah.
So Bobby, do you think there's gonna be new Motley Crue music out of this?
No.
With the lineup?
Nobody wants to hear fucking new Motley Crue music. I gotta tell that right now. Any band out there playing right now, save your fucking cash. Play the hits. That's it. Night Ranger, everybody. Nobody could give a rat's ass if you put anything out. Play the fucking hits. Do 50 minutes, get off the stage, and that's it. I love these bands that say that, I want to hear new music. No, you don't.
Hey, Bobby, but Motley Crue had the album The Dirt came out, and they did cover Like a Virgin from Madonna. I mean, they were, oh, wow, I couldn't believe that. So I was going to make a joke, and it's so sad. I just got to shake my head. I don't think I've ever heard a song.
Hey, Ron, Ron,
did
you watch the Grammys? Oh my God, Madonna looked like. Looked like, I swear to God, it was. Who did the guy with the puppet on Fatal Attraction or whatever the fuck it was? Would you like to play a game? I'm like waiting for red circles.
Saw.
She does look like the Saw guy.
She looks like the fucking Saw puppet. I'm like, oh my God. And Jay, you should have picked that up.
I've got the Billy puppet on my hand.
I'm never gonna look at that
the
picture
first
again.
fucking, I'm like sitting there. All I wanted to hear was go, "Do you want to play a game?" I'm like, "Oh, really? It's not Like a Virgin."
It's not Truth or Dare.
Yes, it is.
Oh, that game's over.
You could be looking for one.
It's Dick Tracy, man, which is years later.
Look,
absolutely,
Chris,
sure.
Let's be honest. You've been doing RocknPod long enough, and look,
You got that right.
First one and everything. Like, yeah, and you dye your hair as much as I do, so I'm not even getting it.
I don't dye my hair, believe it or not.
Come on, bitch, please.
It's all gray. It's all gray on the side. Look at all that gray.
Either that or it's a wig, because you would be pulling it out for how much drama you get on this shit.
Yeah, no, you got that right.
This
absolutely.
So I gotta say, when people come to these events, whether it's Nelson or whatever, play the hits. Stop. Look, that's all anybody really comes to hear. It's just do the hits. Look, you're 70. I don't need to hear Rob Halford talking about a broken condom or whatever. I want to hear breaking the law, not breaking the butt.
breaking your back, breaking your hip.
Yeah, right.
No, I get you, bro, for sure. Well, since so let's get into that. Let's get into the topic that brought us all together this evening. So RocknPod 2023, organized by our beloved Chris here, and we'll also feature our good friend Ron Jones here as a featured podcast, ourselves as a featured podcast, but a sponsorship from BobbyDreyer.com.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, man.
So, Chris, I wanted to start it off just for anybody who was unfamiliar with. So the last time that you did RocknPod, all of us were present for that, the Metal Summit, as well as Let It Rip. Then you chose to put some time between RocknPods to make sure that everything, went smoothly and that everything was done correctly. Before we get into the full breakdown of what we can expect and any questions we need to get filled about RocknPod, why don't you just talk a little bit about that decision and kind of fill the fans in that didn't really understand why there was a relatively sizable gap between the two events?
That's a
simple. I've got I could just say my sanity, but no, also our youngest child was graduating high school last year. So it's one of those things, like my older two have already grown up, moved out of the house. And it's kind of like, wait a minute, if I'm going to have any real one-on-one time with her, I got to take advantage of it now. So that was the big driving thing. So was being there for my kid, and she's in college now. She's still living at home, but she's going to community college. So I never see her anyway, but it was good for that. And then also decided to do it in March this time because I was like, I don't want to make everybody wait till the following August to do this again. So it's like, and I've always had several people say when we do it in August, they're like, oh, August is terrible for me, I can't make it. So when I did announce it for March, I had a lot of people go, oh, now awesome, I can make it now. So we'll have some returning people like you awesome people, and then also a whole new crop of people that have never checked it out before. So I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of people, and it's also a family reunion for all the rest of us,
Absolutely.
And if I can add this, I remember Chris and I having an awful lot of discussions when all this went down. And there was another thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, there was another issue we ran into, was that all the bands were touring again because the COVID restrictions had ended.
Yeah.
And we would line up people, and then the next thing you know, Chris, I'd be excited. We're talking about it and all that. I remember him calling me one time. We might get this person, might get this, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're on tour. Then boom, they're on tour, and boom, and it was like a domino effect.
Well, and that's always a challenge in August because it's prime concert time. So it was for touring. So I think we got several guests this time because we're doing it in March. It's before touring season really kicks into high gear.
Well, the great thing too, Chris, not to interrupt right there or interject, but we have NAMM coming up in April. So you hit it right at the perfect time right there.
Well, to be completely transparent, I had April 15th on hold to do RocknPod.
Thank
and
God
and then I found out, oh shit, NAMM's that weekend. I can't do it that weekend. So I had to jump and change it. Yeah, it was going to be April 15th, but so we switched it to March.
And then, we did out real quick. I threw a bone out to a gentleman who plays for a very extreme band, and I'm trying to get him. He's a really good drummer, so he might be joining us at RocknPod.
Okay.
He's kind of like the big Fig Newton.
Oh,
Kevin kind.
Oh, okay.
No, absolutely, for sure. No, I mean, it's definitely cool, man. I mean, there's so many great names, like so much different, like runs the gamut. I mean, dude, I hit you up because I had to make sure I was reading that name right because I knew what that was. And I was like, wait a minute, are you bringing in a horror special effects makeup guy?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, he's going on the interview request. I was all about that. But you've got Mark Andrews from Seduce, which is really, really interesting because we actually have had Seduce's original singer, Johnny Rocks, has been on our show. And we've had him on the show, but we interviewed Penelope Spheris, from the decline of Western civilization. So I thought that was super cool. Me personally, I'm super stoked about Eddie Ojeda personally because Twisted can do no wrong. And even just super other things that I find to be really, really interesting, and like BB Buell, I think is really, really cool as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to have her come. We've been wanting her for a couple of years, but it's good timing because she's just put out a new book and she's really wanting to promote that. So we'll have her. We're looking at doing another Women in Rock panel, and it's looking like she's going to be on that. And then also with Mark Andrews, we're looking at doing a Decline 2 panel during the day. So that'll be something that he'll be featured in.
That's awesome, man. And for anybody new who either didn't see you 2 years ago on our RocknPod episode or is just kind of learning about RocknPod, why don't you just give a little bit of background to everybody about it? Like why podcasts for your event as something for you to focus on?
Well, I mean, I've been a music podcaster since 2011, so I'm in my 12th year of doing it now, and a lot of us would do, at the time it was Skype interviews, back and forth, and we'd talk to each other. And Matt Porter was one of the, first people I got to make friends with, and Bobby also.
10 years of the Kiss Room.
That's right. And or like podcasts with Ken Mills and Gary Schaller. Like a lot of these guys would do a decade worth of shows together and never meet each other in person. So a friend of ours, BJ Cramp, who does Rock and Roll podcast, he was just like, we should do some sort of a meetup or something. And it was like, Nashville's a good music town. So by default, because I live here, I got kind of made organizer. So I never wanted to be the guy in charge. I just wound up being the guy in charge. But it was so, and that initially it was like, how are we going to pay for this? And then it was like, well, we'll do it through crowdfunding. But if we're going to crowdfund it, then the listeners should be able to come too. And if they're going to come, then they should be able to do more than look at a bunch of middle-aged podcasters talk to each other. So I start calling in favors from all these people I've interviewed that live here in Nashville saying, hey, would you come and do interviews and meet fans? And they're like, yeah, sure. Why not? So then I got some vinyl vendors on board, and it just organically, we had a convention. It wasn't even meant to be a convention initially. And the first 2 years was crowdfunded. And then we stepped it up to a hotel in the third year and made it legit with registration and everything. And then that got bigger, and then it's just gotten bigger year over year. And now we're in the biggest space we've ever been in this year. It's crazy.
What is it, Chris? 40,000 square feet?
So 36,000, but
okay.
We can round up to 40 if it sounds better.
35,500 square feet bigger than what we had it in the hotel last year.
Yeah. The biggest ballroom last year was 5,000 square feet.
Well, Chris, the first year you did it, and again, you mentioned the gentleman And I got to say, thank you, Matt Porter, for introducing me to you, the Podfather, Ron. I mean, look, I mean, Matt, and talk about a guy who's been a trailblazer on this shit forever in a day. And, wow. Chris, you really, the first one, look, I got it right now, this right here.
Yeah, I saw that online today. That Gary posted about that. Yep.
Nice.
I mean, the first RocknPod blew my doors off. I was like,
hey Bobby, when did you go to
we
your
were
first
there
one, Bobby?
with Metal
He was
Summit
at the first one.
year.
Was he at the first one? Okay.
Yeah.
My first one was 2008.
Yeah, you were at the Nashville Palace one. The first one was in this tiny little strip
That's where
mall
me and Gary
event
ran
room.
at each other. Right.
But
Okay.
when we did it the first year, we left. And look, we've all done a lot of concerts. Chris, you created something that nobody else is doing. And the buzz is exciting. This year, I'm really excited to see what happens.
Me too. We'll see.
We were just talking about that.
And so, Ron, let's kick it up to you, brother, because we've all been doing all of our various things. Everything that Bobby's been doing with the Kiss Room and Harem, Angel with everything he's done with Ballbuster, with Metal Sludge, all that. I've been running my own website for 13 years. Let it rip with Ron. How did you get into the podcasting situation?
You know what? We're going to give Matt Porter such a big ego by the time we're done with this. Matt and I got to be friends before RocknPod. I didn't know Chris. And he kept telling me, you got to come up here and check this out. You live in Chattanooga. You're close to Nashville. And, as Chris knows and other people do, Gary Corbett and I were friends. We hadn't seen each other in years. I ran into him, ran into Ron Keel. And finally, Matt came up to me. Actually, Matt got me on there for a minute. And Matt goes, you know what? You know all these people, start a podcast. And it was, in fact, I told Matt at the last the RocknPod we had, I said, everything that I'm doing right now, the radio show, A2ZRadio.net, the podcast, everything that's going on is because you encouraged me and said, do it. That's how I got started. And then Chris and I got to be friends. And I am Chris's spiritual leader.
You are?
Hey,
I'm in a lot of trouble if that's true.
He needs a really good laugh. That's
fine.
Ron, your
the power
mind
of Christ
is
compels you, bitch. Like, I mean,
we've all been there. But again, we got to say, Ron, look, Matt talks extremely highly of you. And look, I wouldn't be doing this shit with Harem, with the Metal Summit, with, talk about a effing maven who connects people and everybody. And look, thank you. I wouldn't have met Jay, Angel, Steve, everybody who's done this, Chris, Joe.
I honestly think
swear,
that Matt Porter, I don't
has
think people
hidden
realize
wings or horns if Jay likes that, whether retract or wings come out. But it's something about Porter. I don't know what the fuck it is, but he connects people together. And I'm like going, he's like the PB&J of podcasting and everything.
That's a great analogy, but it's true.
He's like the nicest guy of rock and roll.
If we could just figure out where he is,
Nobody,
that's the question.
And you know what? Hey, Bobby, you know what? Matt and I were texting each other the other day or messaging, and I can't remember exactly how he said it to me, but he made a comment sort of like, this isn't about me or my ego. This is not why I do it. I do it because I want everybody else to be able to do stuff and have fun and whatever. It's just the kind of guy he is. There he is. He's popped up on the screen. Comment right there.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, he's watching. Like, yes, awesome. I know I'm the greatest.
Look, I love the four guys I do this show with. Chris, thank you, Joe, everybody. But look, I can't say enough. The guy for 10 years kept my shit together and everything. Everybody needs a Matt Porter. That's all I gotta say.
They really do.
That's a good T-shirt.
we could just clone him.
Where is Matt?
That's a
Now that's a good
dangerous
T-shirt, Bobby.
statement,
But
Bobby.
really,
I don't know if we want to
Jay,
wish
let's
that
be
sin
honest.
on everyone.
Think about it. Our show would not exist with everything that came about. We started doing this show, Ron, and I'm just going, wow. And he's so happy to be everywhere. Chris, when we came to the first RocknPod, when we did the thing, Matt's like, this is what he reminds you of what you call it, an elf. You know, it's like, ooh, buddy. He's our buddy the elf.
And you know what? Hey, somebody brought up a name too. And Matt, I love you. I'm going to change the subject, Matt. Don't kill me. Ken Mills.
We love, oh
And
my God.
Ken Mills was a huge influence on me when I first started everything. I can't tell you how many times I text him, how do I start this podcast? How do I do this? Will you walk me through this? How do I do that? The way he treated my family when we met him the first time. And I hated that he wasn't at the last podcast, RocknPod. In fact, I think it was the COVID era and all that. He couldn't come.
Mhm.
But Ken Mills, if you're looking at me, if you're listening, you better be there this year. We need the
We
Podfather
love
there.
the Podfather.
I'd love to see him again.
I would too. I miss him.
Absolutely.
Chris, but
100%.
before we throw it back to anybody, thank you so much for your putting all this together and, you know, putting up with all the BS that goes along with it.
Oh, there's no BS. What are you talking about?
None.
No, I
Yeah,
appreciate
keep
it.
dyeing that hair.
stress free.
Hey, you know what? And I'm going to say this about Chris too. He's become one of my best friends. He's my brother. And I've been lucky enough to be able to assist with, you know, RocknPod, the last couple of events we've had. And he'll call me and tell me things that are going on. And there's times I hang up the phone and go, dude, I don't know how he keeps it together. I don't know how he
Me
still
neither.
pulls all this off. But have a beer. No, I'm kidding. But
Not
yeah,
tonight.
he's done an amazing job. And when you stop and think about it, really, when you think about the last few RocknPods we had, look at how many people showed up, were smiling, were influenced, how many other podcasters got started. And, you know, Chris has been absolutely amazing with it. Can't thank him enough. You owe me $20 now.
Oh, okay.
What a plug. What a plug.
I love you, man.
Angel, let's kick it over to you, man. Why don't you speak for a little bit and talk about some topics you want to talk about, as well as anything that the fans might have brought up. Fans, Metal Summoners, fans of RocknPod, anything that questions you want to ask, any topics that you want all of us to discuss, make sure you put them into the comments so that we can answer them for you, that Chris and Ron can answer them for you, or just anything that's on your brain that you want to hear about. Go ahead, Angel. It's all you, bro.
I'm glad you asked that. I came prepared with my homework. Spread Eagle have a record out. It's called Subway to the Stars. The album
Good
kicks
record.
ass. They're out on tour. They're out on tour. I've seen them 4 times. I saw them at Dingbad's in December. I saw them at Mount Holly a couple weeks ago, and they're just fucking kicking ass live. They're out there performing. They're doing a world tour. They were supposed to go to Germany, but that event got canceled. But they're going in September over to Europe. So they're out touring. So definitely support music, buy the CD, the T-shirt, go see the fucking live shows.
Yeah, we had him at Masquerade.
Yep.
Wow.
And we've had Ray West on our 6th episode, one of our early episodes.
Yep.
We had
Rob DeLuca not that long ago.
Yep, we had him as well.
Yeah.
Love those guys. So,
Very
Absolutely, for sure. So what about RocknPod for you, Angel? What are you looking forward to and everything?
I'm looking forward just to the whole experience again. Just the fact that it's the second time around going to Nashville, meeting everybody. Definitely looking forward to seeing Paul Taylor. He was supposed to be there at the last one, but couldn't make it. Because I know we know Winger, they're prepping a new album for the spring, so it's going to be good to see him there and hear his thoughts on that.
Yeah, excited to have him back for sure.
Oh yeah.
I did submit him to Tracy on our list, Angel. So we'll see how that
And
goes.
you know what, Stevie Rachel, I'm looking forward to meeting Stevie Rachel face to face at last, because he actually got me to write for Metal Sludge, something that I thank him for, because he didn't have to do that. So the fact that he let me do interviews, posted them on Metal Sludge, is something I'm really appreciative of. So looking forward.
What was your Metal Sludge name?
I didn't have a Metal Sludge name. I would just call it the Metal Sludge guy. Like I would go do interviews and live reviews. But like, oh, there goes the Metal Sludge guy.
Oh my God, you were my favorite.
Metal Sludge.
A great name.
I didn't know if you were Bastard Boy Floyd or
no, like Sludgy or
No, he didn't. No, I wasn't quite cool enough yet to get a nickname.
Sounds like a melted popsicle.
Man.
But look, at all the places I'm going to meet him at RocknPod. So definitely thanks, Chris, for because we always see him out in the West Coast. And
well, Aaron Camaro, my co-host, is a fellow Wisconsinite, so he's a huge fan of Stevie Rochelle. So I was like, that was almost a gift to him. But I knew other people would want to meet him too. I'm excited to meet him.
Same, 100%.
Oh yeah, he's a really cool guy.
Hey, you want to do something?
And I do have my Metal Slush shirt as well.
Why don't we do something fun real quick? How about
the
next 5 people that email rockinpod@gmail.com will get comp access to the expo +1.
Right.
Just put the Metal Summit in the subject line and have your name in the email.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely, for sure.
And Jay, if I can say something real quick, we're talking about musicians and things that go on at RocknPod. And before we started the show, you and I were talking. And when I think about RocknPod, for anybody who doesn't know, the first time I actually got to talk to Jay, I was running up to my hotel room. I had an interview coming up in a few minutes. Jay, I think, had one coming up pretty soon. And I looked at him, and I guess we were both stressed out a little bit. I go, "You want a drink?" And he's like, "Okay." And I was like, "Come up to my room real quick." And so I had this mudslide stuff that had either vodka or rum in it or something.
That
and
just
then I had
sounded more gayer than I would. Would you come up to my room?
Hey man, we went. I ain't kidding you. I made him
run. Like to do a sword fight.
He was incredibly.
No, we were going to wait to that later.
He cleaned me up afterwards.
But I mean, those are the kind of memories you get.
So Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh God, man, he went there. No, it's really cool. The people that Chris gets to come to RocknPod are high quality people. They're good people. They love their fans. The fans love them. But it's the memories you make. I mean, I bought Vinny Appice breakfast at the last RocknPod. How many times can you say that in a lifetime?
That's awesome.
It's very, very cool experience. And the people you meet, the podcasters, DJs, vendors, musicians, artists, comedians, doesn't matter. It's just like one big family.
No, 100%. And it was so cool. Like the little things, like personal, like I've got friends that Chris is either bringing in or bringing back that I'm just looking forward to hanging with again. Getting to see my buddy Rick Rule from Every Mother's Nightmare.
Getting
to hang with the Roxy Blue camp again. That's just awesome stuff. I go all the way back to like Steeler and Sin and early Wasp. So the fact that he's got Rick Fox coming back in, was super duper awesome. So I'm looking forward to hopefully getting to spend more than a couple minutes.
I got a text today from a gentleman who's just announced he's coming down. An amazing gentleman. David Snowden and Kim will be coming down.
David is awesome.
We love David.
One of the coolest guys in America.
So he sent me a note. And so Chris, he's going to be one of my +1. He and Kim on a couple things.
Yeah, I've already got him down to get in for him and his wife.
When he told me that, and I was really excited. And if anybody who doesn't know, David Snowden, God, worked with Vinny, Vincent, and everybody else. Silver Tide, Silver Tongue,
Joan Jett.
I'm about to say
wow,
Joan Jett.
And a guy who's dear to my heart, and
same
on Harem and everything else, who passed. There's David is just that guy. So I'm excited that he's coming down to join us at RocknPod.
Yeah,
he's made both both versions of our TMS laminates. He's made the laminates for my show. like my page and stuff like that. But he's just a great guy. He lives right down the road from me. And the Snowdens, Brad and Angie Lee are going to be coming in for the event. So it's definitely going to be a very family affair, but I think that's super cool that David and Kim are going to make the trip as well. I think it's also going to be great for Kim.
And you know what? Somebody else that's coming and I hope I can do this without Chris getting mad at me. You guys knew Gary Corbett. I know all of you love Gary Corbett. I am really good friends with his wife, Lenora, who is a very, very, very accomplished painter and artist. And if everything works out, it looks like Lenora is going to be there selling her paintings, talking about Gary and meeting people. She's very excited about it. And I'm excited about it. So, I just thought I'd throw it out there. Chris, am I in trouble for saying that?
We'll talk.
Oh, crap. We're still working out a few details, whatever, but I talked to her the other day. And to me personally, because as much as I love Gary, I think it'd be awesome to have Lenora there. So you never know who's going to show up at RocknPod.
Absolutely. Right. No, 100%. There's some Nashville buddies that I'm just going to send a couple of calls out to just to see if they're going to be in town. Be like, hey, let's try to get together for drinks or dinner or something like that. And so that right there, and awesome.
If you don't mind, I do want to share. It is about more than the expo. Like we got a Rare Hair pre-party concert that's going to have a lot of special guests. We've got Keel Fest 2 going on Saturday night with a ton of great bands, and then also Sunday afternoon we're going to do a live movie screening of Kiss Exposed with Courtney Cronin-Dole, Don Jameson, and Craig Gass doing Mystery Science Theater commentary to that. And then that night, to close out the weekend, Punchlines and Backline show with those comedians. Eric Martin doing comedy for the first time. And a full Eric Martin acoustic set with him and his bandmates. It's going to be amazing.
Chris, that was fucking awesome not last year, but at the last RocknPod when we had 4 musicians tried their hands at doing stand-up comedy. That
Rock and Roll Residency.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Eric can do. I know Courtney's working with him behind the scenes on getting everything ready for him. So, that should be an entertaining show for sure.
And that's something that surprised a lot of people that I've got coming this year that are coming for the first time when they all think it's music. It's music. That's all it is. And I'm like, no, wait a minute. We got more than just music. And Craig Gass, I can't wait to see him again. One of the greatest interviews I ever had in my life was with Craig Gass.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And Don Jameson's going to be there again. Courtney's going to be there. I mean, we're not just talking about average, comedians. We're talking about people that are going to make you double over and hold your guts when you're laughing. They're fucking fantastic. Love every one of them.
So Bobby, I've actually got a question for you involving RocknPod. So BobbyDreyer.com as a sponsor of RocknPod. What was it about RocknPod that made you want to be more in the front as a sponsor of the event?
A lot of it is, and again, it goes back to, probably 3 individuals. One, again, is Matt Porter, 10 years of being the co-host on the Kiss Room there, Harem. It's got to be Chris. And again, it's got to be Joe D'Angelo for allowing me to be involved with the Kiss Cruise Fest, everything. Again, it all stems. I wouldn't be doing any of this. Harem, the Metal Summit, Matt Porter, it all came back. And look, when I came down there, I'm going, look, it's kind of the giving back. And I love it that I'm involved with an organization that really believes in the little guy. And Chris, you do that. So, look,
Thanks,
Ron knows that more than anything. We're all nobodies, but you make us feel like
thanks a lot, Bobby.
You're all rock stars to me.
No, but really, we love that we go down. It turns into a family. Nobody's going down there to be a star effer or whatever. RocknPod is the coolest thing. I love the last one when we can have a Mark Goodman come over. I mean, a guy who is an icon in the business and sit and give you everything. And then Craig Gass and Jameson, and I'm going, where do you get this? You know,
it's pretty unique.
They appreciate us as much as we appreciate them. So why wouldn't I'm very thankful and grateful that I'm able to be a sponsor. But wow, I love it. I love the family and doing all this. So look, I didn't do it for an ego pat, but I did it for all of us. And Chris, I wanted to see you effing succeed. I know how fucking hard you work.
I appreciate it, man.
But dude, I want this thing to keep going on.
Yeah.
Well,
for anybody, hey, you know what? Bobby brought up a great point. If you were going to do what we do at RocknPod, if you were going to go see a band, visit them, go backstage, meet and greet, whatever, if it's Kiss, you're paying $1,000.
Oh.
If it's anybody else,
1,000?
We don't charge anything in that ballpark.
Bend over
you're getting the greatest day of your life for nothing.
Oh yeah, and like one of the best things about it is, you know, there's other conventions with celebrities where it's like, oh, from 2 to 3 I get to meet so and so, and then that's it. With RocknPod, yeah, there is a schedule, and the guests have a schedule timed out thanks to Tracy's hard work. But at the same time, most of them, even when they whenever they finish their schedule for the day, they just hang out. So it's like everyone's so accessible, and it's just a good hang with people you grew up listening to. That's one of the things that I think makes it very unique.
You picked a hotel with a good bar too this year, Chris.
Oh, did I?
Yes, Bobby. In fact, Bobby and I, when we would talk to each other, it seemed like we were always really close in the bar.
Yeah.
I know nothing about that. Well, it's all
such a bad
goddamn cocktail, you know.
I don't do well, Bobby. Thanks,
and
but
you were pretty close.
I don't do apologies, bro.
Too this time. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, Bobby, you know how it goes, dude. I don't do apologies, so you're just gonna have to deal with that. But the one thing that's also really cool, like what Chris was saying, just about the fact that there is a schedule, and that the celebs, you know, the musicians, the fans, everybody's super duper accessible. Because Bobby, Angel, you guys will remember, we picked up interviews with Ashton from Native Son and with Richie Rivera from Janet Gardner's band, just because they were around and kicking it. In fact, and we were just like, hey, we've got a little bit of time between guests.
What about the shit in that room, Jay? We had, you know, look, and I'm not talking like that just sounded wrong.
Yeah, it did.
It really did.
That was like the first time the Metal Summit were all together.
True confessions with the Metal Summit.
Everybody had the same fucking expression on their face at the same time.
I kept stealing chairs. I kept going upstairs and stealing chairs and bringing them downstairs.
Oh my God! But Chris, the one thing you didn't bring up, and I hope everybody comes out to look, the last RocknPod, the coolest thing, Kiss meets the Phantom. There's going to be another one, and Chris, you got to talk about this, because if you didn't go, whether you're a Kiss fan or not, the dialogue that went in there, put a diaper on is all I'm saying, because you're going to piss yourself the whole time.
Dude, it's also in that bitchin' horror movie like theater.
Full Moon Cineplex. Right. Yeah. We're going to do it there again, and it's going to be a screening of Kiss Exposed from the 80s, which is unintentionally funny to start with, but now you're going to have comedians talk. Craig Gass doing Gene Simmons impersonations over the film is going to be funny as hell.
Who did the goddamn? Oh, look, the Vinnie Vincent box set, and it was
that was Courtney. She had the line of the night.
The fucking one-liners that go in. Popcorn hurts coming out your nose. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, it's so, and and we're limited to like 90 seats in that theater. So if you want to go, you better get your ticket soon.
Your shit together and get over there. That was,
it was a blast.
And you know what? At last RocknPod, one of the memories I have, and I'm sure you guys saw it too. The morning of, we all woke up at the hotel. Everybody's going out to eat breakfast and stuff. And I remember looking around, and there's Vinny Appice and Carmine Appice eating breakfast together. And I'm looking around at all these big stars, and it was just natural, and they were being cool, and everybody was having fun. And I remember telling my wife back then and going, you never get to experience this ever.
Hey,
I mean,
Ron,
there's people.
I'll bring this up. And again, it goes back to Joe D'Angelo. So I'm on the Kiss cruise and I'm there with a great friend of mine, Anthony Santacola, and we're having breakfast on the Kiss cruise. Fucking all of a sudden, Oz Fox comes over and goes, Bobby, can I have breakfast? I'm going, how does this shit happen?
Right.
Again, Chris, you put together something. If you don't go to this event and feel like, oh, it's not a NAMM, it's not this. I'm going, if you're a fan of music, if you do this, just go there and embrace the whole atmosphere, because we're all like, we feel like we're 14 again.
Yeah. I
feel like Scatman Carruthers in the Twilight Zone, like making all the old people children again.
Oh, Chris, look, I know your wife probably wants to like eunuch you, but thank you so much for breaking your balls to put this out for all of us.
I got to give my wife credit.
Hey,
she's helping a lot this year. She's doing a lot of work.
Works her ass off on all this.
Yeah, no, I'm very blessed. I told her, I was like, if you're gonna leave me, don't wait till after the event, please.
Wait till after.
You know, I can say something really funny right now, and I won't. Chris,
I know.
Okay, I'll be nice.
Me too.
Oh, Ron, you're so anti-fun.
But I gotta say, Chris, look, can you really tell the four of us who are on here are so fucking excited to go down? I walk into Porter's office every day.
When you say excited to go down, you gotta be more specific, Bobby.
I can hardly wait. Everybody, you are turning into, giving us Christmas in March.
And don't underestimate that, Bobby, because that's something Chris and I remember him talking to me about this a few months ago when he started setting the dates. And I remember making a comment. I go, well, in August in Nashville, it's 104 fucking degrees. In March in Nashville, hopefully it's going to be nice, but usually the weather's a lot better. I mean, it's going to be a whole different thing, I think, doing it.
Hey, Ron, hot chicken is hot chicken. We can eat it anytime.
Yeah. Well, did I also mention the pre-party concert is on St. Patrick's Day?
Oh
my
shit. God.
I didn't realize that either. And I'm Irish.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all need to hang out with me. It's going down.
My girlfriend is so excited to
like
come to this event because she does not get to go out places. She's like, babe, we're taking this little vacation in Nashville. It's going to be awesome. I'm like, you have no idea. And she knows it's on St. Patrick's Day. She's aware of the concert. She's like, babe, I'm not going to lie to you. I might be coming back to the hotel room fucked up at St. Patrick's Day and I'm Irish. I'm like, you're good. You don't owe me any apologies, because she was just like super stoked about everything. A getaway, a little mini vacation. We're going to have a really good time. She's a music person, so she's stoked about the event, but the hotel has a pool, and that was like one of the biggest things for her, is that because she knows that like I'm going to be doing my thing and pretty much all of Saturday I'm going to be preoccupied and stuff like that. But the fact is, she's been telling me how excited that she is that she and Angie will be able to just like go and hang out at the pool while like we're doing our things and while Brad's off doing his thing.
Well,
Jay, you bring up a great
putting out free, green condoms in every room, so we all have a leprechaun pee-pee. So,
Bobby.
Hey Jay, you brought up a really good point. One thing that, and anybody watching this right now, I've lived in Nashville before. I live in Chattanooga now. Chris is in Nashville. Not only is RocknPod going on, stay an extra day and check out Nashville. Check out the music history. Check out downtown. Check out all the bands that are playing, in every
just watch
bar.
out for the fucking pedal bikes.
Yeah, you got
It's a great city.
Question.
Nashville's a great city.
What's up, Angel?
Angel, come on. It's your turn.
Because my girlfriend's giving me hell for this. When was Mark Wise booked from the Decade That Rocked to be at RocknPod?
When was he booked?
Yeah,
he was the first guest.
I didn't know
that, Bobby.
Damn, I didn't know till today.
I pushed. I asked Mark if he wanted to be involved, and Mark was like, "Are you doing it?" I'm like, "Going, yeah." And I introduced him to Chris, and Mark. The relationship just came about. And again, Chris, all this shit comes back to you. Thank you so much. Mark is totally excited.
Oh, I'm excited to meet him. I'm a huge fan of that guy's work.
Saying.
So I got to
Yes.
put this out. So I just talked to Mark Weiss, and this you're getting an exclusive right now.
Oh,
So Mark's
Okay.
book. Wait, where is it? Right back here. The decade that rocked them. We're going to be doing the Kevin DeBro. So we're going to be making this ADA accessible.
Wow.
And I'm going to be working on this, and with Mark, we're going to be putting an audiobook out.
oh,
And
cool.
everything that Mark does, we're going to be doing it. And again, I have a gentleman who we've talked about a lot tonight who's going to be helping me out, and that would be Mr. Matt Porter. And so we're doing this, the Kevin DeBro book. And thank you, Mark Weiss, for, letting
Dude,
me
that
do
is
it.
awesome, Bobby.
So, yeah, a
Right
lot of
on.
great things. The other people we got to give a great shout out to is John Wolford at Gibson, who I introduced Chris to, the Gibson Garage. Look, you guys take time, go down there. John's amazing, but Gibson has been tremendous. There's a lot of great things that are going to if you're on the fence of going, get the fuck off the fence, fall over to the other side, tell your other half I'm going. You are not going to want to miss this event in Nashville.
You're
Pretty
a good
much.
PR guy.
He's a really good PR guy, isn't he? You'd hire him, Chris.
Yeah. He doesn't need to hire me. That's
I
the
know,
great thing
right?
about it. Look, I like I said, none of this stuff would be happening if it wasn't for Porter. And we're all excited. Look, nobody's doing this shit, Chris. Thank you for, really putting yourself out on a limb for all of us.
Well, I just appreciate everyone having an interest in coming. I have to have an excuse to bring my friends to Nashville, so this is what I do every year.
Well, thank God you're not in like fucking North Dakota or something. We'd all be like going,
Oh, good Lord.
North
"Fuck is
Dakota.
North Dakota?"
What kind of guest would we get in North Dakota? That's hard to. Yeah, I can't imagine.
That would make for some videos that would not be fun to see.
No, I don't. Yeah,
That
that
sounds like something that you've seen in a horror movie that
Banjos.
Jay would
Yeah.
watch or something.
Come meet sheep
Oh,
number
came
one.
to North
Yeah.
Dakota for a podcast. Oh, why
Dakota,
is
where the
there,
boys
like,
are boys, the men are men, and the
raped
sheep
by
run and hide.
zombies or something?
Hey, you know what? Why not turn RocknPod into a horror movie in North Dakota?
That now, Jay, we could do that one.
I'll let you handle that
Who would
project.
get killed
How about
first?
that?
I'll
But the
host
question is, who
that
would get killed
festival, and I would kill it hosting that festival, literally and figuratively.
Right, but who would get killed first?
I don't give my secrets away. Just like Ron said, we're men and men, boys are boys, and the sheep are all nervous. But in this
Yeah.
case, everybody would have to.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, give me a bottle of Jaeger, man. I'll follow you. Let's do this.
I got. Wow, you're cheap.
That's right. Dude, I can make another joke. I won't. But yeah, I'm sorry.
Fuck Jaeger! Oh my God,
Took a
I
weird
was, like,
turn.
waiting to hear. Oh, I need a
Totally
bottle of
weird.
Dom Perignon
It got
or
really
something.
bad
I'm
quick,
like,
didn't it?
Jaeger.
Seriously.
Okay, man. I'm moving up in the world. I'll do Gentleman Jack next time, okay?
There you go.
I'll spend more money.
100% for sure. Angel, has anything popped up as far as questions or comments from any of the fans or the summoners?
Not just everyone excited to be at RocknPod, as well as they should be. It's going to be in March, happening next month.
Absolutely.
17th to the 19th, right, Chris?
17th
March
through the
17th,
19th.
March 17th to the 19th next month. It's going to be here before we know it.
You got that
Abs-
right.
Absolutely. So, but Chris, also plug like where people can like get their tickets. So we talked about the limited seating of the event for the movie theater. So when it comes to getting tickets and everything for these various shows, Keel Fest and everything, where do people need to go for these?
Just go to RocknPod.com. That kind of covers everything. There's links to every single event happening through the weekend, all the different levels. We have one level of VIP left, and those are almost gone. The other two levels sold out. All the podcaster platinum packages are sold out. The vendor space for Saturday is sold out. So yeah, there's not a lot of room left. There's plenty of early and general admission tickets though. So if you just want to come, you can come for as cheap as $20 or get in an hour
But hey,
early.
Chris, now also, and I've had people ask me about this, so explain this. Rare Hair, RocknPod, and then Keel Fest.
Keel
These
Fest.
Are 3 different. Yeah. So it's
oh, and yeah, speaking of that, if you want to go to the you want to make Saturday a full day and night, you can get a combo ticket to get into RocknPod Expo and Keel Fest for $35. So you basically get half price admission to
Chris,
RocknPod.
can you send us all the links so we can share it on all our medias?
Yeah, and getting the word out is the hardest thing. So any help I can get promoting
we'll get it all out. And again, I gotta give a shout out. So this is Mark's book that we're working on. This is a Kevin DeBro book.
Wow, dude.
Keep on rolling. That he
I'm
did
excited
with
for
Nancy. That we're going to be doing we're going to do the Audible book. There'll be for this and the other one, and we'll have the details coming along, but it'll be helped out with David Ivory, Grammy-winning producer Roots and everything. Matt Porter, we're all going to be working on it. So I'm very excited to work with Mark on this. Come out if you want to meet a photographer who's 40 years in the business, who's shot everybody. Look.
Absolutely.
Look, Chris is telling you the cost. The people you are going to meet here, oh my God, really? You are not going to see this shit anywhere in your whole life. If you're in the price of an airplane ticket, look, I paid fucking $8,000 to go to the Super Bowl. You can pay $35 to come out and see Chris.
Actually, you know what? I told Bobby, me and Chris were messaging each other earlier today, and we were just talking about a few things. And I said, man, you ain't got to worry about RocknPod. I'm showing up, and everybody wants to see me.
Of course. Look,
shit.
It's Jay. Jay will be there with fangs.
Jay's going to be there. Shit.
Angel will be there with falsies.
Ron will be around the pool with the Speedo on.
Jay will be sleeping up.
I'm staying away from the pool.
I'll even have a little fucking goggles, man.
Oh my God, we are going to make that pool electric. I'm putting. We got to get Jello.
Actually, you know what, guys? A funny side note, real quick on that swimming pool. Back in 2019, we did RocknPod. The guys from my podcast, Mike Moon and Josh Groves, myself, Tracy's out there. We were at the Quality Inn. We stayed at a cheaper hotel. So we did that. And they said, hey, you're a RocknPod, whatever. You can have the swimming pool for the whole night. They told us that. It was the worst mistake that hotel ever made in their life. I'm telling you.
Here was the funniest damn thing in the first RocknPod. Matt
You do what, Angel? What'd you say?
Can you go into details of what happened?
Oh yeah, we gotta hear this.
We drank and
we gotta get details on that.
And drank and got louder and louder, and then people started going in the pool, and then it went really crazy about 2:30 in the morning. So yeah.
Hey Ron. Okay, you're being too goddamn vague. Who took the clothes off first?
Good. That's a good question.
If clothes came off, it was going to be me. I'm just telling you. I'm that guy. I mean, I'll go streaking, running through a hallway. I don't give a damn. I mean,
I was in the pool.
Yeah, it wasn't my fault. And I do want to give a shout out real quick because I see my friends on there. Mike Moon, Jennifer Mars, they're both tuned in. My co-host from Let It Rip and Braun. I love both of them. They're going to be at RocknPod. Also, Dawn Aurora from the Rochester Rock Brigade up in Rochester, New York. She's tuned in right now. So thank you, Dawn. Told you to give you a shout out. Love you guys. How's that?
Funniest goddamn thing. First RocknPod. Porter's rooming with me. I wake him up and Chris will laugh his ass off. So I take Porter. He goes, what are you doing? And we're like, we were over drinking and everything was going on. I'm going, I'm hungry. Let's go eat. He goes, where are we going? I said, oh, dude, I got the perfect place. We go to East Tennessee. We go to Crystal Chicks. We're two white guys in East Tennessee at Crystal Chicks. Matt Porter looks in the bag. We order 6 Crystal Chicks with cheese. And he goes, they only gave us 5. I'm like, Matt, we're 2 white guys in the wrong neighborhood. He goes, should we go back? I'm like, no.
knock on the window politely. You
Bobby,
missed
I
my
think I'm
burger.
the
But Nashville, I'm telling you, if you want to go out and laugh, have a great time, hang with all of us, the bar, everything. Chris, you put an event on that nobody ever thought. I'm like, look, if you can't afford to go to Times Square in New York or anything, fucking Nashville. Buckle up we are New Orleans, and your feet won't get dirty. That's all.
That's right. And if you, and like with Keelfest going on at Bowie's, which is on 3rd Avenue. So if you want to
What a
experience
great
the
party.
insanity of
I'm
downtown
David
Nashville,
Bowie.
it's going to be
Thank God.
right in the middle of all of it.
Love Bowie's. Love Michelle. Love
Great
Bowie's.
rock and roll
I
club.
love
Great
Bowie's.
time. And Chris, I got to ask you this right now. So you just went and seen a good fan of the guys have been on the show, and we've all interviewed them. You were just at the Ryman and at Bowie's with Night Ranger.
Night Ranger.
Yeah, I went and saw Night Ranger at the Ryman. And my buddy Mike Williams, another podcaster that comes to RocknPod, gifted me a front row center seat. It was the craziest thing I've ever
That
experienced.
was
It
a
was
cool
amazing.
picture that you took
Oh.
with the band.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Well,
right
that's
there,
a little
literally.
bit. I mean,
That was awesome.
look, the Ryman is sanctuary. If
Yeah.
you come to, I'm telling you, there's so much in Nashville you can enjoy. But talk about a little bit about that. Wow. Night Ranger.
The only time I had ever seen Night Ranger before was opening for Poison in like '99 at an amphitheater, and I was drunk when I got there, so I don't really remember it. But it was the Ryman front row center, and I feel like I'm intimately connected to Night Ranger, considering their crotches were in my face like the entire night. They were like right there. But no, it was an amazing show, and they did it was a full career spanning set with all kinds of cool stuff. Even the covers were great. It was amazing.
Could have been Gene Simmons crotch in your face.
Well, at least he has a cod piece,
Good point. Yeah, you got some blockage there.
Yeah.
Well, at least at Night Ranger, you didn't go hungry. There was plenty to eat.
I don't know if I got that reference.
Wait, I didn't get
You
that
weren't-
reference.
You're either gonna get it or you're not.
Yeah, I didn't get that one. Is that
Hey,
a way homer?
I know if it was
There was no
Twisted
shortage
Sister,
of
you
hot
could
dogs.
stay
and
hungry.
sausages, dude.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, actually, a lot more women were there than I would have expected.
It's not. No, Night
And they were all
Ranger's not
55 years and
Come on,
older,
Jay.
right?
It's
Well,
not
that's
a
true.
sausage party.
When it was for Chris, he's the one who said they were all right up in his grill.
Yeah. But I mean, they put the seats literally right against the
Well,
stage.
they all
There's like
know
no room.
He's the host of RocknPod. They're like, oh, we got to gyrate.
It's
for
him. Yeah, dude.
Oh, they
Well,
did.
we got to bump and grind on Chris.
A roadie came up to Chris and tapped him on the shoder and said,
Hey, you want to pass?
22.
Oh, I said, get out some dollar bills, dude. Come on.
Seriously,
There you go.
all it
Dude,
takes
that's-
is just a
that's
swish of the hair.
Yeah.
His nipples got hard, so I don't know, man. He was a little excited.
Yeah. Well, Brad Gillis's guitar about hit me in the face a couple of times. Yeah, it was
You
wild.
sure that
Did
was
it really?
the guitar?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. You have to pay
Dude, I
extra
was
to get
not
that
gonna go
package.
there. I'm glad Bobby did. I wasn't gonna do it. I was.
Oh, come on, Chris. Was that a whammy bar he had there?
Is that a whammy bar? You happy to see me? That drove Angel out of the room.
I know he's like, I'm out. I'm done.
Bottom line, this is what I'm saying. Anybody listening, all bullshit aside, this is what RocknPod's about. It's the hang. It's everything. Chris, you developed something when you did the first one. I know you didn't think that it would ever turn into this, but and look, you've been on every podcast from, Mistress Business to everything. We all love what you created. And thank you, because we're all excited to go out there. Fuck, thank you so much, dude.
Well, it means a lot to hear that. I mean, I appreciate that very much, man. I'm just happy you guys are excited to come, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with
but
everybody.
how about all the artists? I love hearing that everybody's coming out. Sandy Gennaro, I talked about, you
Yeah, we've
have
had him
you
on our
have
show.
effing
He's awesome.
icons coming out. People and you can walk around and you can talk to them and you can. It's not a star fucker night.
No, but I mean,
Right.
to borrow from the Kiss ethos, this is why Kiss fans end up doing a lot of stuff. I try to put on the event that I would want to attend, so that's basically the driving force every
Exactly.
year.
Right. 100% for sure. Go ahead, Angel.
Not just too early to ask, but I'm just curious to ask because will there be a RocknPod next year?
Oh, we don't talk about next year.
Okay. No, but if there is, I think I want to do.
And he doesn't talk about Bruno either.
No, but Chattanooga, Tennessee, they have a skydiving company where you can skydive naked. Just throwing it out there.
From an aeroplane.
Yep.
Ask
Exactly.
me about skydiving.
With a
I'll
lady
tell you
with
how
a
that
body
is.
from outer space. Yeah.
Oops.
I'll
Hey.
keep you posted. I will not be joining you on a naked skydiving trip, but you have at it, buddy.
I
Well,
thought Bobby
Chris
would,
said he's
but-
going to do it next year, but it'll be without makeup, and they'll only do the sail away cruise.
Right.
Wait, did I say? Oh, wait, wrong fucking post. I read that on.
Yeah.
Right.
And everything that's coming out of my mouth is pre-recorded. Just saying.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't even. Yeah, fans, this isn't even Chris right now. This
No.
is the same company that did the Ronnie James Dio hologram.
I'm an imposter. Chris is back at his house.
Yeah, this isn't Chris. Leave your message at the beep, like
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
I'm not
Chris,
an organizer. I'm the trout player.
Exactly. who would be some of your ideal like guests for RocknPod? Do you have any like bucket list? Like, man, if I could get
Sure.
you talked about bringing in, Stevie for Aaron, but is there
Yeah.
anybody that you would bring in that not only do you know would just be a bitchin' just bucket list guest for the event, but something also for you?
Alice Cooper, top of the list.
Nice.
That's mine.
We
But
can
yeah,
work
I mean,
on
obviously,
that one, buddy.
yeah.
Mine's Steve
or
Vai. So
Steve Vai would be great. Scott Gorham from Thin Lizzy.
oh,
Marky Ramone would be a big guest for me because I'm a giant Ramones fan.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. There's a ton of people I would love to have. Dave Mustaine would be a great guest. I would love to have him.
He's so angry. You thought somebody who loved Jesus wouldn't be that bitter like a bitch.
I'm just talking from a musical perspective.
Bobby's never at a loss for words. That was great.
I love Jesus, but I got to kick my bass player out. Oh, go fuck
Right.
yourself.
What about Lars Ulrich would be great. I mean, I'd like to have Lars. Yeah. I mean, those are like shooting for the stars,
Oh no, for sure. Like, I mean, I would love to, for me, we opened up the show talking about Motley. So like Nikki Sixx would be like a big one for me and stuff like that. And I know that would be huge for a lot of fans, stuff like that. I would
Bill too.
What's up?
I said be a lot of money to get him there too. I bet.
No, a lot of money, of course, but or even somebody like I'm a huge fan of like the 69 Eyes, and I know that Yerky, for example, spends a lot of time between Finland and LA. So that would be super duper awesome to get like something like that in. Everybody and their mother knows what a huge Typo Negative fan I am. So any of those guys and stuff like that would be super duper sick. So,
there's several European acts that I would love, like Eclipse from Sweden or Volbeat, bands like that. I would love to have people like that over here.
And you guys are all bringing up like these famous artists and all that, and it just hit me as all of you were talking. Another cool thing about RocknPod is how many local bands from Nashville show up.
Wow.
They have their own booth. They get to know people. I mean, my friendship with 8 Ball because of RocknPod. I mean, so that's another cool thing that Chris does. And it's not just 1 or 2 bands. It's a lot of them. They come in, they talk to people, give out CDs, music, whatever else. So that's another really cool side to RocknPod is getting some recognition for a lot of the local talent that's in the area.
Hey, Ron, the first year, look, you never know who's going to walk in that fucking room.
Every year.
Michael Wagner walked in the first year, I lost my shit right there.
I would have too.
Here's the guy
Mark
who
Slaughter,
did
too.
every 80s album. And Chris, I was like, Porter looked at me and I'm like going, oh my God. I was like, you got fucking Michael Wagner in this room? Yeah, he has a studio right up the road. And I'm going in front. I'm going, oh, I'm like,
Michael's amazing.
That's the kind of shit we're talking about, people. People, I'm telling you now, you don't know who's going to walk in that room. Make sure your ass, it's Nashville. We are not in bumfuck Iowa.
South Dakota.
That's next year. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Is that because it's cheaper?
No, not flying all the guests over there. It wouldn't be.
No, but really,
You'll have to take
we're
a Greyhound bus to get
very
there.
fortunate where we are. People don't
Yes.
realize who live in the area. I mean,
Yeah.
look, the
Everyone's
Metal
here.
Summit, we have artists come in last year. Look at the shit we did last minute. We did Bissonette and I was like, really?
Yeah.
I mean, we all left there just our heads spinning. I'm telling you, spend time looking at this, but watch these podcasts. We're not this excited just because we are. We're fucking stoked. We don't know what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Me neither.
It's all super duper cool, man, for sure. But but Chris, Ron, we can't thank you guys enough, like, for spending time out of your evening to talk about everything that you guys are involved in RocknPod. Like, just like Bobby said, like, for real, from myself, from Angel, and on behalf of Steve, like, Chris, again, thank you, man. I mean, you kill it, every time, and we're super stoked that, we even had the honor to be able to come back and do it again. Like, Bobby signed us up last year without even really telling us. He's like, oh, by the way, guys, I bought our table at this RocknPod thing. Trust me, you're gonna want to go to this thing. And it's fantastic. So it was no different this year when Bobby's like, hey, I got to concentrate on my sponsorship thing. I'm like, dude, don't even sweat it. I got this. And I literally was like, boom. And then I popped you over the message. I was like, hey, Chris, super stoked, dude, just picked up our table. So
yeah,
I was like,
I'm so glad
are
you're
gonna have a
When
blast.
Bobby did that, Chris actually got hold of me and said, I got to tell you something. So, Bobby, to say we appreciate you, Jay, Angel, what you guys do is the understatement of the fucking year. Love you guys.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, I never lose sight of how many people believe in me and the mission of this thing. And if it wasn't for all these great people that support me and what we do, it's this thing would never make it every year. So it's a true pleasure to put it on for everybody. It's a lot of work, but when I see everyone smiling and having a great time, that's what makes it all worthwhile in the end.
Look,
And Bobby, hey Bobby, I'll forget this. You brought it up earlier. Huge, huge, huge shout out to the beautiful Miss Tracy McAndrew.
yes,
Because I watch what this woman
Thank you,
does, and
Tracy,
she
for
is
everything.
just.
She's awesome. Yeah,
It doesn't. I mean, man, she's
doesn't happen without her.
Yeah.
No, totally. I was talking to her for a couple of minutes earlier today because she put out the post about like, hey guys, keep in mind we've got some interviews to fill and stuff like that. And I hit her up. I was like, hey Tracy, I submitted us a full list, but we got you. Like, you just let me know.
I mean,
you need us to pick up more. We will do more interviews. I know I
Thank
sent
you.
you 11.
Hey, be careful for
like,
saying that
let
because
me
the
know.
last RocknPod, I thought I had everything set. The morning of, Tracy starts texting me, can you take this interview and this one too? So be careful what you would. No, it was great.
Hey, Ron,
it was fantastic.
And again, I want to go back to the guy who, again, 10 years, my ass walking into Montgomery County Community College, seeing that KISS poster on his wall. If it wasn't for him, I would never met these four great guys on the show, Jay, Angel, Steve, Max Ash, who really is one of the guys who did it, but Matt Porter. Oh my God. Look, if there's a rock and roll angel, thank you, God, for giving us Matt Porter.
Absolutely.
Because I fucking love that guy to the moon and back. Amy, everything. Chris, look, I mean, here's a guy who goes through shit day after day, 2 daughters with disabilities, everything, but listens to everybody's podcast and does this. Never a crossword. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for letting me be the guy I am today. And I wouldn't be here. And I love all you guys. Thank you so much for all that.
We love you too, my man.
Definitely. And before we cut everybody loose, Ron, let's start with you, followed by Chris. Guys, where can you be found for anybody who's looking? But your podcast, your socials, and anything for RocknPod.
Okay, naturally, I'm on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Buzzsprout, all Apple platforms. Let It Rip and Ron. Also, I'm on A to Z Radio.net every Saturday night, 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. The Rons of Rock. I got a show called Decades of Decadence. And I also have a website, www.letitripproductions.com. Go on there, check out things I'm doing, make song requests, whatever. So that's where you can find me at.
All right. And well, for RocknPod, go to RocknPod.com. That's where all your info is for the tickets, the guest list, everything. For Decibel Geek, DecibelGeek.com. We're also on Pantheon Podcast Network and all podcast platforms. And for me personally, just with my name being what it is, just punch your keyboard and it'll show up on Facebook.
Absolutely. And one more thing, fans, I'm going to let Chris get into it, but for any fans that just popped in during this interview, you're going to get possibly another crack at this. So Chris generously was offering a specific giveaway during this episode with the keywords in the subject line of the Metal Summit. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so the first 5 people that email me at rocknpod@gmail.com and put the Metal Summit in the subject line, then just put your name in the email. I'll give you comp admission to the RocknPod Expo on Saturday, March 18th, +1.
Right on. Right on.
Thank you so
Hey,
much.
can I get a free table?
Huh? Not a free
I was
table.
going to see if I
Don't
can.
Ron,
confuse
would you
people,
say you're
Ron.
giving him a table dance?
I was going to admit, yeah, that's it.
Ron's giving a table dance.
Damn it, Bobby.
Not
I
at
just got a
RocknPod,
visual
you
of that.
ain't.
Bobby. Like, well, absolutely.
Bobby,
But
I'm
again,
having you on one of my podcasts. I'm just telling you right
Fly,
now.
Eagles,
Your ass will
fly.
be on there.
no, absolutely.
Go Chiefs.
I'm out tomorrow. I'm going to AZ, so
Yep.
I will real quick before
No,
everybody
please
goes.
go ahead and plug it, Bobby, because I was going to give
am
you the
going out
opportunity.
to Arizona tomorrow. Yes, I will be out there. Nuno is playing. I just got a couple really cool things, so I will be in Arizona. There will be some live podcasts on Harem, the Metal Summit. I'll be everywhere. Who knows? I may be in a Speedo,
With the
somewhere.
goggles.
With the goggles. Absolutely.
With the goggles.
100%. Well, Metal Summoners, thank you guys so much for always tuning in. And thank you guys so much for supporting Ron and Chris with everything that they're doing respectively and together when it comes to RocknPod. And we appreciate you guys, as always, following us as well. I got the email recently getting printed off by the end of the week. Again, our first ever batch of Metal Summit t-shirts. So follow the Metal Summit on Facebook and Instagram for all the info on how you can get your hands on one of those. I'll be posting all of that, and I will have them in my hands in the next few days or the middle of next week. Very, very excited for us to finally have a little bit of merch for you guys, being so loyal, because we are coming up on our 3-year anniversary. We are very, very, very excited and grateful to each and every one of our Metal Summoners for allowing this show for them to be enjoyed by you guys. So thank you guys so much. And on behalf of the Metal Summit, we thank, of course, BobbyDreyer.com. Follow him for everything that he's being involved in. Again, as a sponsor of RocknPod, follow Angel Alamo at Instagram and on Facebook. Psycho Steve on both Facebook as well. The Real Psycho Steve on Instagram. And myself at Just a R&R Junkie on Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook as well. But thank you guys, as always, so much. We appreciate you guys, and we can't wait to see you next week. Guest announcement over the weekend. It's going to be another great one. We love you guys. Thank you for supporting RocknPod. Ron, Chris, we will see you guys next month. We're going to have a great time. Metal Summoners, we love you. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy your weekend, and look out for each other. Horns
Go
up,
Birds!
hands out. Support Bobby and his love for the Eagles. But hey, you got to keep in mind that our former Metal Summit alumni, Tommy Lee Flood, is a very, very big Kansas City Chiefs fan. So he's
am I.
So is he. Yeah.
That's all right.
Chris
as well as Chris as well.
Don't
And
hurt you too bad.
and even Megan says the Eagles as well. And thank you so much to Spread Eagle again for showing Angel a great time as he continues to support. And we love our Spread Eagle as well. So thank you guys so much. Ron, Chris, thank you guys again. Metal Summoners, take care of yourselves and have a great weekend. As always, you've been watching the Metal Summit.
Yeah.
Wow.